Good morning. This is Cultivate Your Heart for Wednesday, August 21st, 2024. Good to see you today. This morning, as I was reading again, kind of the devotional for WestWay in our Bible reading plan, it talked about the importance of not wasting time and being aware of time and how much time we have left, which we don't know, and all of those kinds of things. And it got me to thinking, one of my favorite things to do, and I'm just going to acknowledge this is weird. One of my favorite things to do, I'll just do it at my house. I'll just talk about it at my house. One of my favorite things to do is periodically at my house, I go through the refrigerator and I look for all of the things that are expired, and I take a great amount of joy in throwing them away. And I also do this at other people's houses. I would never probably come to your house and do it. I would not root through your refrigerator to find your expired food. But I've been known to do that at different family members' houses when we go. It's kind of my thing. And it's a little bit of gets a little bit of a ministry maybe. When we visited Anne's mom earlier this year, we spent some time going through her refrigerator, throwing away some stuff. I've done it at my kids' house. So again, I'm acknowledging it's a little weird, but I take a lot of joy in doing that. And, as obviously we do that because we want to get rid of things, that have gone bad. And obviously when things are in our refrigerator, they have a date on them. So we can kind of know when food is going bad according to that date. And as I was kind of thinking about that and thinking about the way that we use our time, I'm consistently reminded, just as I go through life and I hear about, as people die, people pass away, we don't know when that time is going to come. We don't know what our end date is, but God knows when our end date is. And because we don't know, but He knows, at some point, just as I kind of think through this, He's gonna open the refrigerator of our lives, and when our time is up here on this earth, our time is up. It is truly the end. And some verses that as I was reading through the Bible reading plan came to mind. Some of them were in the Bible reading plan, and some were other ones that I thought of. But one of them is Psalm 90:12. And the NLT says this: "Teach us to realize the brevity of life." Other translations say to number our days. Teach us to number our days so that we may grow in wisdom. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to know when our end day is, but what the psalmist is talking about, teach us to live our life with the acknowledgement that our days are numbered, that we don't know when that time is. And then I also thought of Ephesians 5:16. Make the most of every opportunity in these evil days. Other translations talk about redeeming the time. So make the most of every opportunity in these evil days, redeeming the time, remembering that there is going to be an end date for each and every one of us. So we are called as Christians, as people, to live our lives in light of the reality that there is an end date for us, and we don't know when that is. And we're going to talk a little bit about this on Sunday. Hebrews 10:25 reminds us that the ultimate end date is when Christ returns. So we have a very limited amount of time here on this earth, and we don't know when that end time is. And the way that we are called to live our lives is in light of the reality that we don't know when our end time is. Christ is going to return. And when He does, that is it. When I get in that mode of cleaning out the refrigerator, and I look at the expiration date of food, like it is going in the garbage. It is done. And also, as I was kind of thinking about this, like food only gets worse with time, right? Um, we think of milk. I remember one time I drank some milk that had expired, and I didn't know it was expired, and I poured it into a glass, and like I just I just shotgunned that thing, right? Like I put the cup in my mouth and I just tilted it back and I just started drinking, and it probably took, because I was drinking it so fast, it probably took like 3 or 4 swallows before like all of the brain activity hit, and I'm like, oh, what am I drinking? So we throw that away. Food gets worse with time. And what I was thinking about is something like whiskey is actually the exact opposite. We think of anything that's aged. We think of like whiskey that's been aged, or maybe cheese that's been aged, something that gets better with time. That when that time is up, it's actually the way it's supposed to be. So what we want to do as Christians is we want to be like aged whiskey, not like aged milk. We want to be ready when our time comes, so that when the Lord calls us home, we are prepared for that moment. We are ready for that moment. We have lived our lives in anticipation of the moment when he comes to take us home, because we never know when that is. It could be today, it could be tomorrow, it could be 10 years from now, depending on how old you are. It could be 20 years from now, but that day is coming. And as Christians, that's not something that we are to fear. It is something that we are to be prepared for. And the best way for us to be prepared for the return of the Lord is to be ready for it, to live our lives today in light of the reality and the fact that he is coming back to take his people home with him. So I love you, praying with you and praying for you, praying specifically today that you would live your life in light of eternity, in light of the reality that he is coming back and he is coming to get us. Have a super day.